Hey guys, how's it going? So I'm gonna record this video, probably release it on the weekend because I need to make weekend videos. So I'm gonna be playing the interview and I'm gonna be pausing it and then talking about it as each question is asked. So let's begin. So yeah.
And people will buy along with them. They try to get, and they think Warren knows, and Warren does know in a lot of cases. So it makes me more confident. If Warren's buying my stock, makes me
and CFO respectively of Electrameccanica. Let me bring our face up so you can see all of us here. There we go. I know it's early. Oh, I'm not seeing Belle's.
Yeah, I don't know why the.
Okay, we can just hear your voice. I see Paul. So
Oh, there we go.
there we go. All right, let's get Paul back here. So Electrameccanica, ticker SOLO. Guys, first off, you tried to sneak this by me this morning, but I did see your press release about 20 minutes ago, maybe a half hour ago, that you're opening a new retail location in Portland. Is that right?
So
we just announced that we're starting another little retail location in the Portland, Oregon area, not downtown Portland, about 18 miles outside of Portland in one of their prominent suburbs.
And that, so just paint the picture for us. That brings your locations, because I know you've got locations in Arizona and California, LA. You're planning San Francisco, I believe. So can you outline where you have locations right now?
Yeah, so we've been very methodical where we started, right? So we launched in Century City first at the end of last year, around the Thanksgiving time period, right over Black Friday and into the holidays. And we did that with Westfield first, and then we started to build out with them. And our goal is to do Southern California first, and then we announced that we would expand it to Arizona and then to Oregon. We did Scottsdale Fashion Square with Macerich. That's a Macerich owned property there. And these are little retail kind of pop-up kiosk storefronts. And now we've just announced that we'll open up on September 1st up there in Portland, which is at their Washington Square location.
So for those who aren't following this company or this story, Electrameccanica focused on, I guess the core mission was single occupancy vehicles, electric vehicles meant for the commuter crowd. Obviously, the last few months have changed everyone's working habits. So how has the past few months and this what seems like is some kind of a shift to work from home, how is that impacting the way you see things?
Yeah, well, at the beginning, this was all meant when the vehicle was first conceived. You're right; it was all about single occupant vehicles for commuters, right? But then as time went on, and when Bal and I came into the company, we really saw an opportunity to take this vehicle into other applications as well, into fleets and utility applications and into rideshare, right? Because the reality is there's so many single occupant applications. For example, when you think about delivery applications for pizza, when you think about even like security guards that go around and monitor parking lots at night, or if you think about how many police forces there's one occupant in the vehicle going around in the cities and things like that, right? So we're going to come out with a utility version of the vehicle as well, right? This is an all-electric vehicle that has a 100-mile range, right? It has an 80-mile-per-hour top speed, right? Front and rear crumple zones, side impact protection on the vehicle, torque limiting, stability control, all of the same comfort features that you're accustomed to. And then when you think about the rideshare aspects too, the ability to share these vehicles and go from one point to another point, it's really exciting. But what makes the vehicle super, super unique is, especially as we emerge from the pandemic, people are afraid to take mass transit right now. People are afraid to get into Ubers right now. People are afraid to really get into any other space where there's other people right now, as you can picture, right? So
Yep.
This is a very, very self-contained environment where you're alone. The only germs in the vehicle are your own germs. And then when you think about that fleet application, just going back to that for 1 second, when you think about any kind of food delivery, where they've spent so much time putting the effort into getting that food cooked and prepared in a sanitary space, in a sanitary environment, and now they're trying to make sure it's delivered that same way. This is the perfect vehicle for that.
can you? I'm trying to avoid my own germs. That's the problem. So I'm not sure to solve that. I want to bring Val on now. Val, you've been talking about the transition you're making this summer, really, from pre-production to production. Talk about that. Where are you on the timeline? Is production ramping up? Talk about that.
Yeah, thank you very much for having us on your show. In terms of where the company is, we're currently in pre-production. This summer, we will be transitioning into a production company. It's a dynamic shift for the company. It's something that started as a vision and a dream in 2015, and now we're going to be able to make it into reality. So we're really excited about where we are right now, and we're just about to turn that corner in the next little while, and that's just an exciting time for us as a company, as an organization, as an executive team, and as everyone that's worked so hard to get to where we are. It's going to be a big momentum shift in terms of where we are going to be, going into production and then going into revenue.
So like later this summer, as in like July, late August, basically.
In the very near future.
Okay.
Yes.
How does that impact things like your cash?
So I'm really excited about what they talked about there. How they're going into production in the very near future. I like that news. I mean that shows that there could be a big catalyst coming up here sometime between now and the end of August. So between now and the end of August, I'm expecting some big news on the production, going into pre-production to full production and starting the deliveries for their solos to their customers sometime from now to the end of summer. So I'm very excited for that. And also the coronavirus, that is also a beneficial. A lot of people don't want to take transit, and the solo is a much cheaper way to travel. So it promotes people from not sharing rides with other people by just getting the solo car. So I don't know, the virus could help with the consumer side, but there's also the commercial side, which is also a big business too. So I think solo has a market. Anyways, let's continue with the interview.
Position and maybe need to raise money, because going from one stage to the other is a big shift. So talk about that.
Well, we during the past few months, we've really been able to de-risk our balance sheet. Right now, we have over $51 million cash in the bank. So we've really worked very hard from a strategic operational level, as Paul has alluded to, and he'll be able to talk a little bit more about the solo ecosystem as well. And also from the financial side, and being very strategic in how we carry out our plans to make sure that we have a very succinct pathway to success. We're looking towards the next 12 to 18 months, and we're strategizing in terms of what we're doing. So, the big thing was making sure that we have de-risked the company financially from the balance sheet to make sure that we don't have roadblocks when it comes to the financial aspect.
So when do you see Electrameccanica being at full production capacity? How far off is that?
We won't be there for a little while. We have capability of producing up to 20,000 vehicles per year out of the facility in China. And just the way Bal and I have planned the production right now, we want to be very, very careful. It was all about first getting the engineering right. We've gone through great lengths to make sure that we've done that. And we'll launch, like I said, methodically first on the West Coast, make sure that not only engineering was right, but the customer engagement model is right in our retail footprint, because our retail footprint is very unique. It's just a pop-up retail location. So we don't have big, heavy brick and mortar storefront kind of approach, right? It's an incomparable vehicle with an incomparable launch strategy and a very asset-light production strategy, but it's all about getting it right in a very slow, methodical ramp up. We have the capability to produce 20,000 vehicles per year, but it'll be very, very slow, methodical in the first year.
A couple questions about production here. You've got production facilities mainly in China, but also in Canada. You've outsourced your production in China. I guess that was by design, but are you concerned a little bit about just the escalating tensions between the U.S. and China?
Yes.
And because that is where you have your production.
Yeah, we have one production facility right now. It's an asset-light production facility. We have a production partner called Zhongshan Industries, massive partner, and we've leveraged them. They make about 3 million motorcycles per year, and they're based in Chongqing, right? And they have 400 acres under roof and 50-ish joint ventures around the world. But what we are doing is we're looking for a U.S. assembly operation. So we started with our partner BDO. We started with 7 states, and we've narrowed the search down to 4 states. We've looked at land and facilities in Arizona. Next week, I head to Florida and to Tennessee and meet officials in both of those states as well to continue the search. But the whole idea is we'll bring kits in from China, and we'll use a global supply chain to de-risk and to mitigate the tariffs from overseas. We'll tap into a U.S. supply of talent, and go after the largest EV market in the world. So of course we're very, very focused on bringing down our cost of the bill of material, first of all, but secondly, mitigating against those risks between Xi and Trump.
I also saw Colorado and North Carolina on those lists.
Colorado was eliminated 2 weeks ago, but North Carolina is still in the running.
Is there an estimated timeline on when you might have a decision on that?
Yeah, so we'll announce who the finalists are in the next few weeks, and then we'll announce the final state probably around Thanksgiving time period and start construction right after the beginning of the year with the goal to be open by the end of 2021.
All right, I'll ask this question to Bal, getting some questions from our chat here. Who are your competitors? Because it's not quite other single occupancy, like I hear single occupancy, I think like motorcycles, and I think like scooters, and it's not quite that. So like, who are your competitors, if they even exist? I don't know.
Yeah, we don't really have a true competitor because the Solo is so unique. It's so trendy. I mean, as Paul alluded to, the test that we've done on the vehicle, it's 3 wheels, but when you sit in it, it feels like you're in a cockpit. I mean, you've got all the perks that you have in just a regular 4-wheel vehicle. So we don't really have a true competitor. We're very niche. We've created a niche market called Solo Drive, and with Solo Drive comes with the Solo Share. It'll have the Solo Utility, which is commercial fleet. So we've really tried to create a big ecosystem that's all around the Solo market, and it's very different from what you're going to be able to do because 76% of the people are actually driving by themselves. There's so many applications, as Paul was alluding to, on the commercial and the delivery side, whether it be pharmaceuticals, whether it be food, whether it be packages, whether it be for tech campuses or universities. There's so many different applications of that. So because it's so unique and different, it really is in a category of its own, and that's what we've really created. I mean, there are other vehicles out there, but they don't really compare to what we actually do and what we're actually trying to create. And as Paul has alluded to, and as an executive team, we're really focused on making sure that this market, this niche market that we've created, really expands through the rest of the global transportation industry, because we've really disrupted that.
How do you convince people on what is essentially a new form of transportation, right? There are no single occupancy cars out there, at least to my knowledge. So how do you convince people to buy this sort of thing, Well,
there's 2 aspects. One is the commercial and the fleet and the utility side, and then the other aspect is the commuter. So it seems like you're talking about the urban commuter right now. And if you sit in this car and you take it out, it is a magnet. I mean, it is a magnet. I mean, absolutely. The car goes out and people come in herds around it. I mean, all sorts of people. So I don't think our challenge is going to be on the sales side. It's basically what people are realizing, that the purpose, it's purpose built for what we really need to do.
Yeah, I think Spencer,
And minimalist.
just to add to what Val is saying, I've been involved in some of the most exciting vehicle programs around, right? Because of my background in the automotive space, working for technical consultancy prior to this role. And I'll tell you, when I drive my solo around, whether it's to go get groceries or go get a bagel somewhere, it just attracts people, right? And when they find out that it's at a price point that they can afford, you have everybody, it's a typography, right? It's the people who are early adopters in technology, typically the same people that like to go after iPhones and Galaxies and want to be first, that are eco-friendly and that are probably minimalists, that realize that, hey, this is what I need to go to do my shopping and go to the gym and go get my bagels. And this is perfect. This is really a really cool vehicle, fun and exciting to drive. It's a really unique vehicle when it comes to the consumer side. And for the fleet applications, it speaks for itself. It's just, for utility and fleet, it's just a really, really cool product. And it suits a need, and it's in a space all by itself between micromobility and passenger car. And again, we think we're going to kill it.
We're on with Paul Rivera, and
Okay, so I want to talk my thoughts about it. So obviously they showed that they believe that they have a big market, and I believe it too, because first of all, anybody that sees this car on the road, they're going to be forced to stare. So that creates a very good advertisement vehicle, and a lot of people would approach them and talk about the car, and that would create some excitement. And then when people test drive it and they like it, they might end up buying it, especially if you get into the business model of leasing, where people would pay a couple $100 a month to drive the car for the next 5 years. If you don't pay for gas, the car kind of pays for itself after a while. So, yeah, I'll talk more about that over the weekend, but I really have not too much to say about this. Anyways, I will play the rest of the video and then finish it off with my comments.
Bueller, who are the CEO and CFO respectively of Electrameccanica. Do you have guidance as far as production for this year or deliveries for this year?
Currently, we're not providing guidance at this point in time, but eventually we will be providing guidance.
And then, how do you guys explain the recent dramatic rise in your stock as sort of the entire electric vehicle trade has kind of come to the forefront over the past couple weeks, a couple months? I mean, obviously you don't control that, but how do you explain that?
I think that this, well, first of all, as I was listening to you gentlemen talk right before we hopped on the call with you, right? The space is hot. First of all, the space is just hot, and you see what's happening with Nikola and Tesla, Workhorse. The space is hot to begin with, right? But I think that in our case specifically, I think people who have been following us, they know that we're about to go into production. I think that Val's point about going from pre-production to production is a big one. So I think that they know that we're about to go into production. I think also they recognize that we're expanding our retail footprint. So that's a big one. I think that they recognize that as we emerge from the pandemic, we have something unique to offer. And it's a really fun, exciting, trendy vehicle that looks very, very different and offers people the opportunity to go and be in a self-contained environment. So I just think that there's lots of compelling reasons why this vehicle and our stock should be exciting right now. This is exciting. And when you think about the ecosystem, when you think about the 19-year-old kid or the 18-year-old kid who would be driving one of these vehicles to make a delivery, first of all, for a food delivery company, and then parks it on a charging system, and then then walks across the parking lot, gets in his own personal Solo and puts on the Bluetooth and is driving home, and then passes, a charging infrastructure and sees a bunch of these being shared in a city, and then goes into his garage and puts it on the charging station in mom and dad's garage. That's what we're talking about here. This is the ecosystem that we're trying to build. And this is exciting, and people get it, and people realize that the world of transportation is changing. And you combine that with what's happening in the global world right now. And we're launching in the States first. And then when you think about the fact that we're going to build out a US facility for assembly and then launch the global vehicle at some point, a couple years down the road, a lot's happening for us, and people get it.
Shri out of the chat stole one of my two questions. The first question would be safety standards on this car. I mean, being in a smaller car. And the second thing, like when I think about like one-person vehicles and whatnot, I mean, is it discouraging you when you look at like the chart of like Harley Davidson and something like that with the single vision? To me, like people that want to be in a single vehicle to drive, the motorcycle market is to me that those people would be appealing to. But yeah, just real quickly, safety standards and then competition from the motorcycle industry.
Yeah, the safety standards, not for us. The vehicle is registered as a motorcycle, just to clarify, because it is a three-wheel vehicle, right?
Okay.
But just so you know, my background, more than 30 years in the automotive space, right? When I came into the company, I wanted to make sure that occupant safety was the number one goal for me, was occupant safety, right? So we went ahead and we made sure that we applied a lot of the same NHTSA safety standards that are in passenger cars. So we went ahead and applied a lot of the same NHTSA 214 standards and NHTSA 216 standards that are the same as in passenger car. So not all of them, of course, because this is a three-wheeled vehicle, right? But we do have front and rear crumple zones, triple side impact protection. And like I said, we put torque limiting stability control, because for me, I want to make sure that, first of all, I can sleep at night, right? But also so that we can really look at a consumer in the eye or a fleet operator in the eye and know that we've done everything we can, even though it doesn't fall into a passenger car category, and protected the occupant as best we can in that category. It's a different category, right? So that's on the safety side. And am I worried about these other players who are motorcycle manufacturers and have been around for a long time? No, I'm not, because they have their businesses and their business model and their legacy supply chains, and they've been doing things for a long time in a very specific way. This company, which was birthed in 2015, was birthed with an innovative, imaginative, visionary thought concept to capture a very, very different mindset of people that was meant to revolutionize that space between micromobility and passenger car. And we've done it, if you think about it, we've done it with less than 80 people, and we've done it with less than $80 million total over a period of 6 years, but with very, very, very deep engineering expertise in that period of time, right? It's hard for companies that are very focused in very, very specific mindsets to make changes like that. And we've been able to do it very, very nimbly, very, very flexibly. And I'm proud of what we've accomplished. And I think that others will come along and try to do what we're doing. And I wish them success, by the way. And I think that they'll come along and catch up to us at some point. But in the meantime, I think we have something very compelling to offer, because we're integrated. When you get into the vehicle, like Val said, it's a cockpit. You've got the Bluetooth, you've got air conditioning, heated seats, power steering, power brakes. You feel like you're in something really exciting and unique.
Yeah, it feels like you're in a car,
does feel like you're in a
car. Not exposed to the outside. We've been on with Paul Rivera, who is the CEO, and Bob Bueller, who is the CFO of Electrameccanica. Looking at our chat here, we've got a steady balance of bulls and bears, and that's what makes a market. So, guys, I know it's early. We appreciate you coming on. You're out in Vancouver, and thank you for waking up early for us this morning. We appreciate
Thanks so much, gentlemen, for having us. We appreciate it.
All right.
Thank you so much.
Stay safe out there in these crazy times.
You too.
All right.
Thanks.
that'll be it, guys, for our show. Any final thoughts, Joel and Dennis? If not, I'll just wrap it up here. But that was a good interview. So thanks again to Bal and Paul for
Cool looking cars. I just stayed back and I was just learning a lot, and I was like, well, I didn't even know. Like, I never looked at the Solo. I know the stock, but I never looked at the cars, and I was on the website. I was like,
Yeah.
it's a cool looking little cars. I don't know if I'm going to buy one, but because I have the 4 people. But I mean, if you're just by yourself, maybe.
Yep. And they've also got, I think, a concept for a 2-seater as well as that is not yet in production. Anyway, cool story. Check it out if you're into it. If you're bearish, that's also cool too. That's what makes the market, like I said. So I want to thank our guests today, all 4 of them: Paul, Bal, Ryan, and Mark. We tried to cover as much as we could, so we.
Not everyone dislikes the look of the car. Like that guy right there, he's like, it looks like a cool looking car, but would he buy it? No, because he needs a 4-person vehicle car. So, and then there's some people who the Solo car is ugly AS, so obviously there are people who dislike the car. Not everyone's you're not gonna get everyone on there that say, oh, this car is awesome. No, you can't. That's not the world works. It's like saying that everyone loves the Cybertruck. Not everyone loves the Cybertruck. When the Cybertruck was announced, half the audience on my YouTube channel was like, oh, that's an ugly ass car, and then now the stock takes off and they're like, maybe the Cybertruck's actually a little attractive to me. So it's just, people's perspective can change very, very quick. Very, very quick. So, not like I said, not everyone dislikes the car. For the Solo stock right now, it's trading at $3.70. Like I said, I don't know where the stock price is gonna go. The trend is changing a little bit. It's starting to change again. It's starting to make a new uptrend. Will this continue? I don't know. I wish I knew. I wish I can tell you it'll go up. I'm assuming it's gonna go up because of the trend change. But you never know. Bad news can hit the market. Trade wars or some kind of stuff like that. The Chinese factory blowing up in very severe scenario, that could a bunch of cars get destroyed while shipping it. Anything's possible in the markets. But anyways, that's it for my video. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Subscribe for future updates and have a great day. Bye.